for 12 years after the closing date. And that the township doesn't close on the deal, doesn't get the deed until the Act 2 release is given to us. So we acquire the ownership after we're satisfied that the property's been satisfactorily cleaned up and the DEP is happy. So the exception to that is if the township goes ahead and in the short term takes part of the property and starts building on it, that triggers a clause in the agreement that says the township has to take the property within 5 years.
Wait, say that again, I'm sorry. So if because we need a public works building relatively soon.
That's
So
right.
if we wait until this Act 2 process, which do we know the time frame for it?
The Act 2 process, I would estimate 3 years. It depends on a lot of work in the field. It depends upon DEP approvals and so on and so forth. So there's no exact timeline. A good guesstimate is 3 years. Now, you need a public works building sooner than that.
Correct.
So we negotiated a provision whereby the township would get a ground lease, be able to enter on the property and start building. But before you would do that, you would make sure that the part you're building on is clean through environmental testing and so on and so forth. And you'd also make sure that there aren't any environmental deal breakers, things that we don't know about, that might give us concern. Once you go ahead and build, then ABB insists that you take the deed.
That's what I'm afraid of. Like, so say it's taking 3 years, because I know I read in here there's a provision that says that we can break the deal if Act 2 clearance is not.
Right.
So, but we start building this public works building, say, within the next year. Once we start doing that, we've basically ruined the ability, if they can't get that Act 2 clearance, we're stuck with this property.
Yes, subject to a 12-year indemnity from ABB. So if the problems that you've described are found,
Right.
those would be ABB's for 12 years. It wouldn't be the township's problem. It'd be ABB's problem for 12 years down the road. So that's a lot
But
of
say we
protection.
get to 12, but as soon as we start building that building, it's ours. Even if 12 years down the road, they can't get Act 2 clearance, because, I mean, I don't know I've seen the list of chemicals, but I don't know what's been done there for the past 100 years. So, like, it just seems like we're taking a risk, like, because the purpose of the property is for, or at least as I understand it, for a public works facility. But, which we can't wait 3 years to start,
Agreed.
but as soon as we start, then this becomes ours.
No, that's incorrect. Here's how it'll play out. The most important environmental concerns on the property will be evaluated first.
Okay.
So you're looking for deal breakers, for example, any impact on local surface waters. If you see that, that's going to be an expensive problem, then you may want to step back and reconsider. You'll have the opportunity to do that. Second thing you'll want to look at is, in the area where you want to build a public works building, is there any contamination there? To the best of our knowledge, the answer is no. Before you build, you want to put holes in the ground to be sure. Let's assume you put the holes in the ground, it is clean, then, and only then, do you ask ABB for the ground lease. That triggers the 5-year obligation to take the property. Gives you plenty of time to get the property through the Act 2 process. Even then, if there's some surprise, some unanticipated problem that arises, even after you've taken the deed to the property, you have 12 years of protection from ABB against those unknown risks.
Sorry, I'm really not trying to be difficult. What's the 5-year? You said the 5-year obligation to take the property?
ABB did not want the township building on the property unless ABB knew for sure that the township was going to acquire the property.
Makes sense.
Makes sense. So that's where the 5-year term came from. They wanted to make sure that, okay, if you build it, then after 5 years you have to take the land.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, you're saying we have 12 years.
Yes.
But really, as soon as we start building, that 12 goes from 12 to 5.
No. The 12-year indemnity period only begins to run when you take the deed to the property. So let's assume you take the deed to the property 5 years from now. That's 2022. Then you have 12 years of indemnity protection after that.
Okay.
That takes it to 2034.
Okay.
Now, it's hard to conceive of things that are bad that wouldn't be found by then.
Right.
So it's a risk, but
It
it's
is
a
a
remote risk.
Okay.
And I think you told us, Dan's environmental company, their goal is to find anything they can find, and when they're looking for it, they're not, they're on our side.
Yes. The whole idea of the Act 2 process is to do a thorough investigation of the process, of the property, to uncover whatever might be there, learn about it, and disclose it to the DEP, because whatever you disclose, you're protected for under the Act 2 release. If you don't disclose it, then you don't have protection. So you have every incentive to give the DEP all the information about all the contamination you find. You have every incentive to find all the contamination that's there and to address every item to DEP satisfaction. It's in your self-interest because when you do that, you get protection from the state. You get a release of liability from DEP.
And ABB is fairly comfortable that the cleanup they did was pretty thorough, because they're putting themselves at risk by letting us go try to find everything we can find on the property, which they have to pay for after the $450,000.
Yes. Obviously, the township is getting an 87-acre property. It's getting it for a fraction of its fair market value. ABB is getting rid of a property that doesn't have any use for. It's also getting rid of an environmental headache that we're going to take care of under Act 2. We're at an advantage. We can get Act 2 grant monies that ABB as a private company can't, because we're a township. So it's a win-win for both sides. That's how the deal came together.
Not to be a negative Nancy, but it just seems like it's too good to be true. Like, how can we get a property, 87 acres, and basically pay $450,000 that will go towards the cleanup, and they're going to pay for the rest? It just.
Because you have a very good lawyer.
Well, thank you. But I just can't, even reading through this, I just can't. I have concerns, let's put it that way. I have concerns for the safety of our public works employees. I have concerns for what we would utilize that property for in the future. Like I said, even if we build this amazing public works building, you're only talking about 5 to 10 acres. We then have 72 acres that we can't really use because we can't do recreation.
Well, you can use it for any non-residential use, whatever that might be.
You can also sell it to, you can sell it for other industrial uses or similar uses in public works. People that might want to locate it. So it
Add your
does
tax
have
base.
some potential future revenue. And just keep in mind, brownfields have been developed all over Pittsburgh. This isn't, it's not unusual. We probably experience more than people we have involved helping us have been through this process, and they feel confident. We sat at the table with DEP at least 3 times, Brad.
But Dan, can
Yes.
you finish with that microphone so everybody can hear you? I think what you're going to talk about is the different brownfields around here that everybody knows about. Or might not.
Yeah, I just wanted to point out, Brad's done a great job here describing the agreement, but keep in mind that brownfields are developed all over Pittsburgh. Some of your major things like the South Side Works is one that comes to mind. It's an old J&L steel factory. There are numerous up and down the rivers that have been developed, and there's ways to effectively cap these sites that are safe to people using them. And most of the time, my experience, and I've been involved in a number of them, working on the development side of them afterwards, it's usually just capping with a layer of soil or something like that. It kind of takes all of the environmental concerns out. The biggest issue is usually water, and as Brad described, surface water is a concern to the DEP here. Groundwater, not as much, because we have public water that's available here. So our consultant feels very confident. He's combed the data. He knows what we have to do. He's outlined a specific program that everybody's looked at that's going to evaluate this all. So we feel confident that we're going to take the approach, like Tom said, try to spell out the major issues first, and then we go from there step by step and keep the board informed as to what's going on.
Yes, sir.
What about the back?
Wait, somebody's in the back.
Yeah, I have just one question for you too. What happens if ABB goes bankrupt or goes under?
Yeah, can we have your name for the record,
Would
please?
be stuck holding the bag on this?
Yeah,
or
we need your name and address for the record, please.
Is there gonna, what's that?
We need your name and address for the record, please.
Andrew Schrader, 306 Maple Ridge Drive. If they would go under a bankrupt, is there some type of bond being put in place to protect the township on this? If
There's no
something like that
bond.
would happen?
You raise a very good question. An indemnity is a very common contractual remedy to protect the opposite party. but the indemnity is only as strong as the party making it. So in the